Welcome back, Wolfpack. It's Lyrewolf, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the meaning behind Scorpio energy and what was going on in my mind when I wrote it. Welcome to the behind the song. This song is definitely one of the most intense and empowering songs I've ever written. On the surface, it might sound bold, seductive, or maybe even a little bit dangerous, but underneath that, the heart of the song is actually something really personal to me. For me, Scorpio energy is about the moment when you stop apologizing for your depth. A lot of sensitive people grow up in environments where only certain parts of you are allowed to exist. And those are usually the agreeable parts, the comfortable parts, or the gentle parts. But if you're someone who questions things and who wants to go deeper or who feels intensely and who refuses to accept surface level answers, those qualities don't always get celebrated, especially in today's culture. Sometimes they get labeled as being too much, too intense, too stubborn, too complicated. I definitely grew up hearing versions of that message for sure. For a long time, I thought those things were flaws. I thought they were things I needed to soften or hide in order to be accepted. But eventually, I started realizing something important. Some of the things people criticized the most about me were actually the beginnings of my strength. The curiosity, the instinct to question things, and the refusal to accept systems that didn't feel fully truthful, and the intensity that pushes me to create and explore and transform. Those things aren't weaknesses. They're the engine behind everything that I do. And Scorpio energy was really born from that realization. When I talk about Scorpio energy, I'm not just talking about astrology in a surface level way. I'm talking about an archetype. Scorpio has always been associated with transformation, the idea of shedding old skins and becoming something new. It's the energy of going into the depths of yourself, facing things honestly, and then coming back stronger. And that theme of transformation has really always resonated deeply with me. I also think it's interesting that I'm both a Scorpio sun and a Virgo rising, which is something I reference directly in the song. Scorpio brings that emotional depth and intensity, and Virgo brings the instinct to analyze, refine, and question how things work. So the song kind of plays with that combination of intuition, intensity, and a refusal to compromise with things that don't feel true. Another layer of this song that fascinates me is the idea that sometimes, no matter how carefully you explain yourself, you're still going to be misunderstood. You're still going to be the villain in someone else's story. And once you realize that, something kind of shifts, because if you spend your whole life trying to avoid being misunderstood, you're gonna end up shrinking yourself just to stay palatable to other people. So Scorpio energy is partly about stepping out of that dynamic. It's about accepting that you can be soft and still have teeth. You can be kind and still formidable, and you can be loving and still powerful. The chorus line, "Come at me, but no, I'll sting," it's about the moment when someone who has been underestimated realizes that they don't have to actually keep shrinking. Another thing that kind of inspired this song and like the ethos around this song is something called the Pluto in Scorpio generation. People born roughly between the early 1980s and the mid 1990s grew up during a time astrologically associated with deep transformation and exposing hidden truths. And whether you see astrology as literal or symbolic, I do think it's interesting that a lot of the cultural conversations happening right now revolve around those exact themes. People are talking about healing, trauma, questioning systems, reclaiming personal sovereignty, and revolutionizing how things were previously always done. There's this collective movement toward going deeper instead of staying on the surface now. And Scorpio energy reflects that spirit. The music video also plays with those themes visually. I wanted it to feel almost mythic and psychological, kind of like a symbolic initiation. Water, darkness, and intensity, all of those elements represent transformation for me. Moving through those spaces felt like a visual way of expressing what the song is about internally. If I had to sum up the meaning of Scorpio energy in the simplest way, I would say this. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that people once tried to shame. And it's about realizing that depth is not something you need to apologize for. It's about stepping into your own power without pretending to be smaller than you really are. This song is also a piece of a much larger story I'm telling it through my music, a story about transformation, identity, and learning to reclaim parts of yourself that were never actually broken. And Scorpio energy represents a very specific moment in that story. The moment when you stop shrinking. The moment when you realize your intensity is not a flaw. It's your power.
Permanently hungry. I know that I'm intense. Forgive me if I come off a little bit obsessed. I like changing up the status quo, moving out in the shadows. Scorpio energy, a world of mystery. Scorpio energy, don't wanna be my enemy. Scorpio energy, sharper than you'll ever be. Scorpio energy, come at me, but no, I'll stay. Come at me, but no, I'll stay. I'm like the water, fluid it flows, soft enough to tread, strong enough to break stones. Scorpio